Well, residents of this usually quiet area of Kirkcudbright have spoken about the seagulls that are blighting their lives. Some have said that they feel like prisoners in their own home. Others say that it's really affecting their mental health. So much so, residents undertook a survey and they had hundreds of responses. I'll read some of them for you now. For 15 years, we have tolerated these birds, and every year their population has grown. It's now at the point where we can't take it anymore. Another says, I'm writing this on behalf of an elderly lady of 90 years old. She explains to me that the noise is awful and she can't get to sleep at night. And another writes, constant noise and squawking, constantly washing and polishing cars, constantly having to redo laundry that's been out on the line. Well, residents here now want the council to take action. These gulls are doing more than ruffling a few feathers here in Kirkcudbright. Residents have had enough of their loud squawking, their swooping attacks, and the mess they leave behind. Avril has a mental health disorder and says she often can't even enjoy her own garden.
I feel like a prisoner in my own home, basically. They make so much noise, you can't hear your telly. They sit up on the chimney and it radiates down into the living room. They're sweeping at us, their droppings are everywhere, they're on my handrails. It's very soul destroying and it's really affecting, like the residents here as well. People are scared to come out. I mean, I get scared to come out and go to my car in case I get dive bombed.
Avril filmed this footage on her mobile phone yesterday. It shows what residents have to put up with on a daily basis. Just across the road, her neighbour Marina says it's affecting most people in the area.
One of my neighbours who lives down in the cul-de-sac behind me, I saw her running up the street and she looked a bit distressed, and I stopped and I said, what's wrong? She said, on my way to get my daughter, I can't get into my house. The seagulls are bombarding me because the chick was in her garden and she had to get another adult, to kind of cover her head to get her into the house. One of my neighbours over there, they have a son who has a disability and he can't go out into the garden, gets really distressed.
Seagulls are a protected species under the Wildlife and Countryside Act. Gull control activities can only be carried out with a licence and at certain times of the year, but the local council currently only has a licence for Dumfries and a small part of Annan. In a statement they said, gulls are causing extreme nuisance in Kirkcudbright and other places. The Communities Committee of the Council has agreed to widen the scope and remit of the long-standing Gull Control project to include the whole of Dumfries and Galloway. The Council will now be appointing an environmental safety officer to focus on prevention measures and apply to Nature Scot for a licence to cover Kirkcudbright next year. But even then, control measures will be taken as a last resort.
We've got a lot of people who are, hospitalised, who are coming home after treatments. They can't sleep through the night, which is the very time that they should be able to be healing and mending, and it's difficult for them. We've got a number of people with mental health issues who are also struggling, as well as people who are taking anxiety tablets and medication for depression. And, we'd like to think that the council were putting people's priorities at the top of the list, and unfortunately, with regards to what's happening in Kirkcudbright, this is just not the case at the moment.
The body that issues licences says, gulls are our very own urban wildlife, and they are truly fascinating birds. Some of our Scottish gulls have been tracked travelling thousands of miles to overwinter in Africa. All breeding birds are protected by law. Herring gulls are a red-listed species on the Birds of Conservation Concern, meaning that overall their populations are in decline. It also suggests prevention measures like a ban on feeding seagulls and providing better food waste disposal. When the birds migrate away from their breeding area in the autumn, people will be encouraged to gull-proof their own homes, a period of respite for residents who will be hoping fewer birds return next year. Residents here accept that living in a coastal community means that seagulls are going to be around as well. But they say as their population grows, they're living further and further inland, making it difficult to enjoy living in this beautiful town.